Joining us now to review some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is our Rise News analyst, Emmanuel Efeni. Great Malabar.
Good morning, Ruben.
Good morning.
Well, wait, you are full dad. I'm sure you are full dad soon. Good morning, Ayo.
Good morning,
Rufai.
Morning, sir.
Yes, we start the review with this day, Nigeria's newspaper of record. The lead story, Buhari finishing strong, seeks support for APC. Tinubu declares he has difficulty coping with official pressure, charges security agencies not to relent in protecting citizens' nation. At valedictory FEC meeting, President thanks ministers for loyalty, support since 2015. Keenly awaits tending to his cattle in Daura. Now, of course, the president winding up his administration, as it were. It's been very busy lately, and a lot of action being taken in the last minute. Well, he has to work till the last day is in office because he remains the president until midnight of 28th of May, as it were. Now, but a number of issues he has mentioned there that has been under pressure, especially in this late hour, because from the actions taken by the president and the Federal Executive Council, it's like there were a backlog of issues to be dealt with, and they seem to be in a hurry to deal with all the issues. But how that will pan out, whether some of these decisions will flow very well with the incoming administration, remains to be seen. Now, if we look at the Guardian newspaper, yes, the Guardian newspaper, MPC shuns bleeding economy, raises interest rate to 18.5%. Yes, the MPC meeting ended yesterday, and the CBN governor, of course, addressed the media, as it were, on the outcome of that meeting. Of course, in focus, the raising interest rate to 18.5%. And of course, the reason is to also curb inflation. But the inflation has been running away, as it were, all this while, despite the increase in the interest rate in the last several quarters. Now, but the CBN governor is saying that without CBN's monetary tightening regime, inflation will have reached 30.48% in April. Well, what the average Nigerian know and feel at the market is that it is becoming very difficult for many families to take care of their needs because of the inflationary trend that has eroded the income of many families. Now, the Vanguard newspaper, refinery will ask Dangote to sell forex at good rate, says CBN. Government, says Emefiele, says CBN government help him to build refinery, raises interest rate to 18.5%. Nasima, Ipman, others react. Well, dictating how Dangote will sell his forex when the forex he will earn from export of products from the Dangote refinery. Well, expectedly, there should be good inflow of foreign exchange from the sale of those products. But how? Of course, it has to be at the rate that is prevailing at that time. Will the incoming government keep these two rates, one central bank rate, another rate that is featuring in the parallel market? And if this government decides to do otherwise, then of course, whatever rate is prevailing at that time is what the Dangote will sell their forex But again, that's a matter for the future. But above the masthead of the Vanguard newspaper, Keyamo to Buhari is unconstitutional to appoint Minister of State. What manner of talk? After enjoying that position, an unconstitutional, that is to quote him now, position for the last 4 years, Festus Keyamo, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Minister of State for Labor, is now saying that position is unconstitutional. Yes, like one of our guests just remarked, he should have made this comment earlier in the day to show some sincerity there and must do the honorable thing by walking out of an unconstitutional appointment. But again, that's Keyamo making that there. I'm sure many will ask him to give further explanation. But perhaps the constitution says the president should appoint one minister from every state of the federation, 36. Well, why should one minister be junior minister and another full minister? Perhaps it's a question for discussion. But the Keyamo intervention, haven't enjoyed that office for the last 4 years. I think it raises some moral question. Why did you not stake your claim that this is an unconstitutional act and walk out of that job, or get the president to do what is constitutional? Yes. Now, the Nation newspaper, Buhari, I am battling to cope with last-minute pressure. The Nation newspaper, military top brass sent off C&C. Commander-in-Chief, President charges armed forces to do more on security. Now, the Nigerian Tribune newspaper, 5 days to go. Buhari seeks Senate approval to pay $566 million, 98 million pounds, 226 billion naira judgment debt. Yes, if the Senate approves that, then the lot will fall on the next government, the government of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to make these payments. Where to get the money from? Of course, according to the request, they will budget for that money after the approval, and of course, this money will be paid as part of monies already budgeted for. Now, the Daily Trust newspaper, as FEC winds down, Buhari seeks Senate approval for 539 billion naira judgment debt pay. Now, we'll look at the foreign newspaper quickly. Now, the Daily Telegraph newspaper, millions on jobless benefits do not have to seek work. Taxpayers face bankrolling payment indefinitely for 3.7 million, giving exemption from having to find a job. Well, many people have been encouraged to go back to work, but these categories of persons, well, they don't have to look for a job. Now, the Guardian newspaper, clamor for Prime Minister to scrap Johnson's honors list. Yes, in the wake of the Partygate, new Partygate claims pie pressure on Sunak to halt peerage rewards. Of course, Boris Johnson, but in the front pages of both papers, the foreign newspapers, Tina Turner. Yes, Tina Turner, what's love got to do with it? I remember that hit song. She's dead, age 83 years. In the latter part of her life, she renounced her American citizenship, became a Swiss, got married to a Swiss man, and perhaps lived happily thereafter. Because in the early marriage, her first marriage to Ike, of course, the story of that of a woman who was bruised and brutalized, despite the fact that they were a music group at that time. But Tina Turner, she's dead.
Yes, our heartfelt condolences
Yes.
to our family and to all our fans all over the world. I mean, she was on the scene for 6 decades. She's been singing since the late 50s. As you pointed out, first with her husband, Ike Turner, and then later on, you know, she moved on her own and had so many hits. River Deep, What's Love Got to Do with It, which you remember. sold over 100 million records across the world, won the Grammy Awards about 8 times, born Anna Bullock, she became Tina Turner, and many will remember her as a queen of rock and roll. So President Biden says she's a once-in-a-generation talent, and that is, an apt description. Very quickly, I see that, when you were reviewing the front page of this day say Buhari finishing strong, seeks support for APC Tinubu. Then in the photograph front page, we're told it's finishing fabulously. Well, opinion seems to be divided, in terms of the performance of the Buhari administration. And just to show how divided opinion is, I would like to recommend, for whoever cares, 2 articles, 2 opinions today. There is Abimbola Adelakun titled "Handover, Bye to Jati Jati." That is a very strong, column. In fact,
what's Jati Jati again?
No, in fact, it describes President
rubbish, dirty
Buhari
rubbish
as a nuisance. I'm quoting her. I'm not saying I agree with her. And then, of course, you look at Abubakar Adam Ibrahim's column, back page of Daily Trust. He says, "Bye-bye, boo-boo, happy survivor, Nigeria." Almost the same tone as Abimbola Adelakun's speech, but, he's a bit measured. Abimbola Adelakun just hits the man from the first paragraph.
To town.
Wow. So opinion is mixed, but time will tell. History, perhaps, will be kind to him as he returns to Daura to attend to his cattle farm.
So it's a coinage from a gospel song that says, "Bye-bye to Jati Jati, in the name of Jesus, bye-bye to Ridi Ridi."
Anyway, the Midnight Crew made this song.